Michael Patrick Shields is on the air.
Good morning, world.
Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Friday to you. Wow, it's Friday. That happened fast, didn't it? I think it did. Mega Millions sweeping the nation, including Michigan. Tonight's drawing 312 million big ones. That means if you take the cash option, you get 193 million, and then take taxes out of that, and it's about 17 million. No, it's not that bad. Hey, if you win it, who cares? Tickets are sold in 41 states, and the winning number is 11 o'clock tonight. So if you hear a scream from the capital area, I don't know what I would do. I thought a lot about this. If you won, because I vision it, because if I figure if I dream it, I can do it. If you're looking at that ticket and you're listening to the numbers, or you check it online and you look at it, I would think you would look again and again and again, and you say, wait a minute, and probably all the numbers will start spinning on the ticket, right? And you'll say, am I really seeing this? And then your hands will start shaking. It'll be even harder to see. And then what would you do? What would your night be like?
Yeah, you better not pass out.
Well, and you'd say, well, now hold it. It's Friday. I can't go to the lottery office till Monday. What am I going to do with this ticket? You know, because the first thing you think is, how do I keep the ticket safe, right? And then secondly, how would you sleep? How would you feel? I mean, I can't even fathom what it would be like. Gary Austin, the anchorman.
Well, you'd have to be so careful not to lose it. I mean, think of all the paranoid stuff.
Oh, every time I walk down a flight of stairs, I'd be thinking, this is it. I'm going to trip on a stair. I'm going to fall to the bottom and meet my maker before I get the 312 million big ones.
Oh, man, I tell you, you've got to be...
Every patch of ice, I would become like the boy in the plastic bubble.
Like, what would you do with
the car? I'd be worried about that. I mean, so maybe it's not such a blessing after all.
Well, you just have to be careful. I mean, you got to guard the ticket. And so I would think the procedure would be, you win it. I mean, for whoever does. Would you
start
call,
spending immediately.
Would you call the lottery office to say you're on your way?
Yeah, but no one's going to be there. It's going to be midnight.
That's true.
So that wouldn't work. You're going to reach anybody there till Monday, I wouldn't think.
You know, one thing's for sure, you're going to be double-checking, rechecking, and quadruple-checking that number just to make sure you got it right.
Where is that ticket?
It'll be
still there? I don't know.
It'll be under your pillow when you go to bed, that's for sure.
No. I don't know where I would put it, but... Woo! Let's hope it happens.
Well,
a problem to have.
Yep, I tell you.
What would you do with all that money? 888-900-9966 is the number to call. 888-900-9966. What would you do all weekend?
Yep.
And then what would you do with the money?
Yep.
Personally, I would never fly a commercial airline again.
You wouldn't?
No, I would fly private everywhere.
Now, would the money change? Would the good old down-home Michael Patrick Shields that we've all known and loved for all these years, would that change you? Would the money change you?
I don't know. Who can predict such a thing?
Well,
I wouldn't think so, though. I mean, because...
I think it's a valid question.
What it would be, it would be security to me. It would be security, that's all.
Well, I mean, if you showed up, okay, say you won it all. If you showed up, and there you are on Fox 47 there, and we could see you with all the bling, and we could hear the jingling of the diamonds of your brand new, wristwatch and your Rolex and everything else, and you just look different from one day to the next. I mean, that would be a marked difference. But you wouldn't let that affect you that way, would you?
Do you think you'd actually would see me still on Fox 47? That's the funny part.
You would be owning Fox 47. Well, I'll tell you, it's fun to dream.
It is fun to dream. But one of the things that would make me the happiest, honestly, would be that I could help a lot of people. I could share it with my friends and so forth.
That would be neat. That would be neat. We all think of that, and just think of all the people in need that you could help.
Not even, just friends and whatnot, that help them through. That's would be the fun part to me, to say, here, have this, and they'd say, no, I can't take that. And I'd say, take it. Shut up and take it. That would be the fun part to me, to be able to help people.
But then the hard part about that is you wouldn't want to leave anybody out. Right?
Well, that's why they get in trouble, isn't it? You read these stories of people who win the big jackpots and end up bankrupt within a couple of days.
It's true. I mean, you think of it's really odd, but you know what? Like my dad always said, good advice here. When it comes to handling money, it's not how much you have, it's how you spend what you do have. In other words, how you allocate it. That's what it's all about.
You know what you could do is you could not tell anyone. Don't tell a single soul and just be generous. and they'd say, "Wait, then they wouldn't,
That's
they wouldn't
true.
think you're big time." And I'm like, "Oh,
But I
yeah,
tell you, one thing's for
Mr.
sure, though.
$6 million man passing out hundreds,
Yeah, but the lottery, this is a big deal. They make a big deal out of the
Yeah,
fact
but you can
that
be
they
anonymous.
want you. Well, you can be, but the lottery, from what I understand, if I understand it right, they really like those who really, because then they can showcase you. And the lottery can make a big deal, big promotional deal out of it. So
Yeah,
they
but you
like
don't have
those
to do that,
who
though.
want to,
You don't have to do that.
well, you don't have to, but the lottery would like you to. In any event,
Well, what
this,
would it be like
Yes.
anytime you went to dinner for the rest of your life when the check came, everyone would be sort of like, start looking at you like, wonder if he's going to pick up the bill today because he won $317 million.
Well,
They'd
there's
say,
no,
let's divide it into 6.
Yeah.
They'd say, look at that cheap son of a gun. He's got all
see,
that money. And he can't
there's no
help us out."
question. If you tell everybody, if everybody knows that you won the big cash prize, it would change your life considerably. I mean, if you didn't tell anybody, obviously it would still change it. But the fact you would not be in the spotlight, if nobody else knew, it would change it to a lesser degree.
888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. What would you do with all that cabbage if you won the lottery? It's a Mega Millions jackpot tonight. Over $300 million at stake. And Gary Austin, there's a movie called Waking Ned Devine. If you've never seen it, I would highly recommend that you rent it because it has to do with, it's shot in rural Ireland. And it's, for one thing, it's a good it's a good example of what rural Ireland is authentically like. And secondly, it's about a lottery ticket. And the fellow wins the lottery ticket, and he's so overwhelmed by the fact that he's won that he has a heart attack right on the spot and dies.
Oh, no.
And his friends find him, and they say, well, we should cash the ticket. But they look on the back, and he's already signed the ticket, Ned Devine.
What
So
a
they're
what a
like,
neat plot.
But he's dead, and now what do we do? And so they put this scheme together in this little Irish town to have someone else be Ned Devine when the lottery inspector comes. And it takes the complicity of this entire little town of, they have about 50 people that live there or something like that, and they're going to divide it all up. But it doesn't go according to plan. And it's a really cute movie. Waking Ned Devine is what it's called.
Well, that is a real clever story.
The news is brought to you by
Our friends at American Metal Roofs. You'll never, ever have to worry about the weather with a beautiful guaranteed American Metal Roof. Learn more, AmericanMetalRoofs.com. Also, our friends at the AARP, a membership group leading positive change and delivering value to those age 50 and over through information, advocacy, and service. Hey, you know what we are learning more about? The alleged attempted Christmas 2009 bomber,
Yep.
Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib. Now, why do you figure he picked Detroit?
Well,
Well,
we
the-
know that he wanted to do a disaster at Chicago and Houston, but the
Yeah.
tickets were too expensive. So
Well, you're
he got
absolutely
William Shatner, the Priceline negotiator. Priceline negotiator. He said, "Hey, Detroit's a
Wait
lot
a minute,
cheaper."
Tommy. It'll be double feedback if I.
Hey, Steve in Langsburg is in the air at 888-900-9966. Steve, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm ready to win. What about you?
Yeah, I am too.
Okay,
I've
we'll
been
split
thinking
it.
about this for a long time, and I
Yeah.
thought it out, and I decided that I would probably spend it on wine, women, and song, and the rest of it I just fool away.
Yeah, because it's found money, right?
There you go.
That's what it's
It's
for.
It's all fantasy.
I want to party with you. You're my kind of guy. Well, I hope
You have a good day.
You too. I hope you win it. And if I have to split it with someone, I want to split it with someone like Steve who says, I'm going to blow it all. That's it. Then I won't feel bad. I'm planning on it ahead of time. Right, Gary?
I tell you.
We're losing some state police posts, I understand. But
yeah,
not
we are.
people is the good part.
Yeah,
right?
21 are shutting down in a cost-cutting move, but that's the bad part. But the good part is the troopers who are on the job now, they're going to keep their jobs. It's sort of unique. Some will be working out of other posts. Some are going to be working on call from home. It's kind of a new
Modern
way of doing
age.
things. Hey, how about Governor Granholm? We figured when she would leave office, no shortage of job offers.
Yeah.
Now, word has it, of course, she's working with the network, television, right, NBC, to
NBC.
do commentary business. Also, a teaching gig at UC Berkeley. But now we hear she's joining the board of directors at Dow Chemical. She is going to be very, very busy, and her term at Dow starts right now. A statement from Dow said, the governor's experience as governor here and a lawyer will make her, quote, a very good advocate for national and international policies that drive innovation, increase productivity, encourage investments and technology, and create jobs. Good luck, Governor Granholm, her new gig there.
Well,
with Dow Chemical.
congratulations to Governor
Yeah,
Granholm on
that
the
is
board
pretty.
of Dow now.
That is pretty cool. You know, this is a odd story here. Did you know this? Detroit's 3 casinos could be in for tough times. Here's why. We've got word here from the Michigan Gaming Commission and Revenue Act. This was from 1997. Listen here. Detroit's got to have a population of more than 800,000 for a casino to get a license to operate in the city.
That is urban legend because
It is?
yesterday it was released that the licenses were based on the population at the time the license were granted.
Oh, very good.
But that has
Very
been going
good.
around like wildfire.
Yes,
no question
well,
about it.
well, thank you for clarifying that
yeah.
because, boy, I tell you, a lot of casino goers and, well, the casinos themselves are probably thinking, uh-oh, but glad that's not the case.
It's a Firekeepers Casino Friday, in fact, here. I'm Michael Patrick Shields, back in a flash. Tigers lost to the Washington Nationals yesterday 5-2 at Joker Marchant Stadium. Grapefruit League action continues on the road today against the Atlanta Braves. Pistons are on the road, too. They're going to play the Cavaliers in Cleveland tonight. Matthew Stafford, the Lions quarterback's back on the field throwing the football following shoulder surgery back in January. He said the shoulder's feeling good. He's had 2 NFL seasons and missed 19 games because of injury. And the question is, will there even be a season because of the strike or the lockout, if you want to call it that, the labor dispute in the NFL, if you want to call it labor. Longtime assistant to Coach Izzo is going to be leaving Michigan State, taking over the helm at Northern Illinois. It's Mark Montgomery, named as Northern Illinois' head coach yesterday. He was with CMU for a while before he came on Coach Izzo's staff, so we wish him good luck. Let's make him our Northwood University Leader of the Day. Northwood University celebrating 51 years of producing leaders and promoting free enterprise. Speaking of college basketball, there'll be a new champion in men's college basketball because Arizona ousted top seed Duke yesterday 9-3 to 77 in a Sweet 16 matchup. Connecticut, Florida, Butler also join Arizona in the Elite Eight with Sweet 16 wins last night. Butler's looking tough. We're going to talk with Chris Gall from the Indianapolis Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Butler graduate, and the only guy I know who really has spent any significant time with Danica Patrick. And it's her birthday today. We never let the birthday of a beautiful woman pass without taking note. So Chris Gall will join us shortly. The NCAA tournament continues. 4 more Sweet 16 matchups tonight. North Carolina clashes with Marquette. Ohio State takes on Kentucky. Kansas plays Richmond, and Florida State faces Virginia Commonwealth. Spencer Levin, 6 under par 66 yesterday. He's got a 3-shot lead after the first round of the Arnold Palmer Invitational. That's the Bay Hill Resort and Lodge in Orlando there, just a couple doors down from Disney World. 6-time winner, Tiger Woods, missed every fairway on the front 9 and shot 73. Now, you got to understand, Tiger Woods knows this course like the back of his hand, having won there 6 times, and he lives right down the street at Isleworth, and I think this is a good bellwether as to what we're going to see the rest of the season. If he can put it together at Bay Hill, then maybe he can put it together at the Masters in a couple of weeks. But Tiger says the weather really affected his shot.
Yeah, I didn't hit the ball well at all starting out. Didn't drive it well starting out. Then I got a hold of that. I hit my irons well all day. And on the greens, it was just tough to take the putter back straight. I mean, the wind was gusty. And it was tough to get the right speed.
And the wind hurt you on the greens, too?
It's just hard to stay steady. It's one thing to have the wind blowing 20, 30 miles an hour. That's fine. But it was actually gusty. And, we were talking pretty much all day about it. It's hard to actually get the putter going back straight and through because it's moving all over the place.
Yeah, this time of the year when you play in Central Florida in the afternoon, that's what happens. Ladies are playing at Industry Hills Golf Club in Pacific Palms. Alanda Blumenhurst has the lead at 7 under. Michelle Wee is 2 back, though. And that is a look at sports. We welcome to our American Metal Roof studio Doug Pratt, the Communications Director of the Michigan Education Association. Welcome back.
Always glad to come in, Michael Patrick.
We've got a couple of things we'd really like to talk about here. First, Senate Bill 7 got everybody's attention when Governor Snyder said he wants state employees to pay 20% of their health care benefits in order for the local revenue sharing to kick in.
Well, there's lots of different components to that, but yeah, that 20% mandatory premium share is one of the things that we're looking at. Right now, there are school employees who are actually paying more than that.
Is that right?
There's this misconception out there that school employees and other public workers don't pay for their health insurance, that they have these Cadillac benefits.
Yeah.
That's just not the case. Over the last decade, because of this state's budget crisis, we have been cutting and cutting and cutting. And public employees and school employees in particular have been making concessions at local bargaining tables. That's what we do. You know, we want to make sure that resources get into the classroom to help our students. And most of that is paying salary and benefits for teachers and other school employees. But, you know, we've all got to figure out ways to make ends meet. We're all trying to share in that sacrifice. But we don't think that the state should be mandating that. That's something that decisions can be made at the local level, whether employees and employers want to pay that through health insurance or salary cuts, or if the school district's actually in pretty good financial health, which, believe it or not, there are some out there.
So it's a patchwork of different agreements all across the state as to what percentage of your health care you pay.
Absolutely. It's a local decision that's made through the collective bargaining process.
And it's part of the way that you would lure teachers to come, good quality teachers, to teach in different areas, right? The package, like any other business.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what this is all about, is recruiting and retaining the best possible teachers and other school employees to be working with students. We know that there's nothing more important in the school than having a highly qualified, well-trained teacher there working with the students. And that's where we want to make sure that the resources are going.
I see here that it was on Fox News, I guess. House Speaker Jace Bolger is criticizing the MEA, your organization, for asking locals whether they would consider a work stoppage as a means of protest. This has been making a lot of news. It's against the law, isn't it, for your teachers to strike?
Well, it's against the law for our teachers to strike, but we also look at what's going on in Lansing right now. And the simple fact is that when you're cutting hundreds of millions of dollars from our students' educations, you know, there's a website that's launched right now, fightschoolcuts.com, that will show you can plug in your zip code and find out exactly how much this budget that's under consideration right now would slash out of your local schools. You know, our members across the state are looking at this situation and saying, what schools are we going to have to come back to in the fall? Where are things at? Where are things going in this state? And they are willing to ramp up and start to talk about various crisis activities, and that's the misconception out there. Our board of directors asked our 1,100 locals to take a crisis vote that ramps up the awareness and activity amongst our members. Is an ultimate end to that a work stoppage? It could be, but that's a decision that our members make down the line. That's not something that our board or our president can initiate. So that's something that, you know, is certainly being talked about around the state, but what's being talked about actually in our locals and our school districts all over the state is the level of anger amongst our members in the community about these cuts and about the attacks on the middle class in this state that are happening down the street at the Capitol.
When you talk about cuts to education, that doesn't always mean cuts to teachers' salaries, though, right?
No. I mean, you're talking about, well, let's just take a couple of examples here. I mean, the minimum cut is $470 per pupil. That's what every school district in the state's going to get. But there are lots of districts that are actually going to get hit for much more than that. The Lansing Public Schools are going to get hit for $700. Mount Clemens in Macomb County is more than $1,000. Wolverine up north is $1,700.
Wow.
Beaver Island is over $2,000. Now, Beaver Island's not a huge district, but $2,000 plus per student, it's a huge part of their budget.
So where do you find that kind of savings?
Well, that's the question. You know, in fact, I think that the superintendent of Dearborn Public Schools said last week that the school employees in his district could pay 110% of their health insurance, and they'd still be in the hole. This isn't a question about compensation. This isn't a question about salary and benefits. In fact, when you ask most Michigan voters, do they think that public school employees are overpaid or overcompensated, they say absolutely not.
No.
It's a minority
How could
opinion.
they be?
This isn't a problem with compensation and shared sacrifice. This is a problem with our state's revenue system. It's been broken for a decade, and we need to fix it. And our idea of a fix is not the same as the governor's. Our idea of shared sacrifice is not increasing taxes on retirees and poor people in order to provide a massive business tax cut. We don't think that's fair, and we're going to continue to fight it.
When we get back from this short break, we'll find out what a reasonable solution would be then. We'll find out what the MEA's idea of solving this budget crisis is. Stay tuned for that. It's Michael Patrick Shields. We're here with Doug Pratt, the Communications Director of the Michigan Education Association. You can hear this interview again, if you like, on podcast at MichiganTalkNetwork.com. We're live in our American Metal Roofs studio. You can find them at AmericanMetalRoofs.com. Save up to 50% on your heating and cooling bills with a simple energy audit. Stay tuned. It's Michael Patrick Shields. Continuing with Doug Pratt, the Communications Director for the Michigan Education Association here in our American Metal Roofs studio. You said earlier that the governor's idea of how to fix Michigan's economy is not the same as the idea of the MEA. What is the idea then of the MEA?
Solutions to our budget crisis in this state. It can't just be that we're going to do away with pension tax exemptions, get rid of the earned income tax credit, and slash corporate income taxes. Do we need to change the Michigan business tax? Is it a good tax? No. There's nobody who would think that. It just isn't. You talk to any economist and they'll say that it's not a good tax. But there's other solutions that are fairer across the board. We need to take a look at a graduated income tax in this state to increase tax fairness for everybody. We need to look at taxing services as well as goods. 75% of our tax base in this state is services that go without any taxes. There is a way of setting that up that makes sense. A good, solid, structured tax, not something that's done in the middle of the night like was tried a few years ago and quickly repealed. And we need to look at tax incentives, which we will applaud the governor. That's something that he is paying attention to and is looking at the effectiveness of these tax incentive programs. And finally, there's $14 million worth of government contracts that go unaudited every year. We've got to look at those things and make sure that we're getting the most for the taxpayers' dollars. Right now, we don't know if we can eke more savings out of those contracts. If we could just get some of that $14 billion, I think I said $14 million, dollars back, that could solve a huge part of our budget deficit. More so even than if Governor Snyder won the Mega Millions.
Is a strike then not off the table? In other words, it would be illegal, right, for the teachers to go on strike? But you're saying it's still possible.
That's going to be an internal decision that's made by our members, and it hasn't been made yet. Those are the votes going on all over the state. Our concept right now is that our members, labor members across the state, members of the general public, parents, we all need to get informed about what's going on. And that's what's going to drive decisions. What the legislature does over the next couple of months is going to drive decisions. But you see the kind of things that happened in Wisconsin, where they constantly just tried to roll over people, end-run processes, use loopholes, do anything they could to take away the voices of workers and families in that state. And we're not going to let that happen here in Michigan. And we see some of those signs already. The emergency financial manager legislation that passed, does away with collective bargaining rights for tens of thousands of workers in municipalities and schools that are struggling financially. Struggling financially, by the way, because of massive budget cuts brought down by the legislature and the governor. These are bills that restrict voting rights. Who votes for an emergency financial manager? I don't. No. I don't think you do. I mean, who has control over this? I thought government was supposed to be controlled by us, the voters, and now we have this end run of the system going on. These are things that people should be very, very angry about, and that anger is what's driving these conversations right now. Is anything off the table? No. But at this point, what we're focused on is getting people aware of what's going on and talking to their lawmakers. Lawmakers are heading home for 2 weeks. They need to hear from their constituents right now that the path they are taking Michigan down is not the one that we, the voters, want them to do. Governor Snyder's not doing the kinds of things that he was elected to do, bringing people to the table, bipartisanship, having everyone work together to solve these problems. Again, he talks a lot about shared sacrifice, about how he believes in collective bargaining, about how he wants a different path than Wisconsin. All evidence to the contrary.
The web address?
The web address for the fightschoolcuts.com, that's where you can go and plug in your zip code and find out how much your school district's being cut. That's fightschoolcuts.com.
Okay, fightschoolcuts.com. Be good for you to be aware of what's happening in your local community. And thank you very much, Doug Pratt.
Anytime,
Michigan
Michael Patrick.
Education Association. Jamie Westenbarger, speaking of things financial, on the other end of our line right now from Forest Hills Financial in Grand Rapids. Good morning to you.
Morning, Mike Patrick.
Spectrum Group polled the country's wealthiest people, and they're very optimistic, according to the poll. And according to Fidelity, 83% of the millionaires surveyed said the financial crisis didn't shake their confidence in investing. Do you hear the same thing from your customers? Are they confident?
Well, it's interesting. I think a lot of times when you poll the wealthier individuals, you find a higher level of confidence, and maybe that's why they tend to be wealthier. One of the reasons, because they do stay invested. They do look at the long term, and long term, of course, past isn't always indicative of future, but long term things have always tended to work out better if we kind of ride out the storm. And I think we're seeing that right now, even where there's a lot of negatives that are going on throughout the world, but yet we continue to see the market be strong and hold on, and if it falls below 12,000 a Dow, it seems to climb back up over that. So it's a resilient market and resilient people out there that believe in the overall strength of this country.
The very wealthy, including myself tonight, after I win the Mega Millions jackpot, they
well,
like
you and me both. I'm going to win too. So.
Oh, good. We'll have to have a planning meeting then. They like the tech stocks, they like the pharmaceuticals, and they like the healthcare stocks. You too?
Well, we've been real, kind of concentrated and really looking at a lot with the healthcare industry, and you've got to look at your own portfolio, of course, to make sure that things are suitable for you. But when you
That's true, and you can do that with Jamie Westenbarger at Forest Hills Financial in Grand Rapids. We'll chat again with him soon. It's 14 before the hour. So, $312 million at stake tonight in the Mega Millions jackpot, and the NCAA tournament continues tonight, the basketball tournament. So there's a lot of gambling going on in the state of Michigan, even outside the legalized doors of Firekeepers Casino. Jeff LaFrance is with us. He's the marketing manager at Firekeepers Casino in Battle Creek. Good morning to you.
Good morning, NPS.
Are there NCAA brackets filled out all over the Firekeepers Casino backstage? I would think so.
No money involved, no betting involved. We don't do any illegal activity.
It's all for pride. I understand.
Absolutely.
Monday, we were at the Governor's Conference for Tourism in Kalamazoo. We broadcast from this travel and tourism conference, and we thought, a lot of people come across the state lines to go to Firekeepers Casino. They travel across the state to come and get their Vegas on, and so we said, we're going to stop over there and get our Vegas on after the broadcast, and Amanda Wall and I walked in, and there was a house in your lobby.
Yes, we actually have a portion of a house in our main lobby. It's part of one of our biggest promotions yet, which is Win a House on the House. And the grand prize giveaway actually happens next Thursday, March 31st, starting at 10 a.m. And the grand prize is a new house, which you can see part of in our lobby. And it's a 1,500 square foot home, brand new, can be built anywhere you want in the state of Michigan. And if you don't want the actual house, there is a $75,000 cash option, which is a pretty good deal.
So by the end of Thursday, March 31st, at Firekeepers Casino, somebody's going to win a house.
Yes. Starting at 10 a.m. all the way up through 8 p.m., we're picking 5 finalists every hour. Those finalists will put an entry into a old-fashioned drawing drum at 8:30, and one of those winners is going to walk away with a home.
How do you get in on the action?
All Red Hot Rewards Club members, which is our player club system, all members get one free entry, and then you get an additional entry for every 100 points earned this month on your card. So everybody gets an automatic entry into the promotion. Come into Firekeepers next Thursday, March 31st, activate those entries, basically like throwing them into the drawing drum by earning at least 1 point, and you got a chance to be picked as a finalist.
Okay, so you gotta be there Thursday at some stage, and pull a couple of slots or play some table game, whatever it is, and that will activate your entries into the ability to win the house, right?
Absolutely. And if you're selected as a finalist, you're going to get $1,000 in Red Hot credits to play, which is our version of free play. So not only do you get a chance if you come out early next week on Thursday, you get a chance to come in early, you have more chances to win as a finalist, but we're going to give you some free play as well to give you more chances to win.
So what time do you have to be there to have a chance at the house?
The first drawing is at 10 a.m. next week.
and we pick 5 finalists every hour up through 8 o'clock. So the earlier you get there, the better you're going to have, better chance you're going to have with parking, and better chance you're going to have with being selected as a finalist.
And you have to be present to win?
Yes, sir. You must be present, must activate those entries, just like putting them into a drawing drum for us.
And how do you find out every hour if you're one of the finalists?
Well, we make a big celebration out of it. We like to get our Vegas on in the casino when we're doing promotions. So we'll have some flashing lights at our promotional stage in the middle. We'll have music playing, and your name will be displayed around the entire property. And we'll also call it out over our speaker system through the entire casino.
Okay, and so by the time the big final drawing, how many people will be in the hopper for the big final drawing?
You'll have 55 people, and all 55 of those people have earned $1,000 in Red Hot credits, like I mentioned earlier, and they will all have a chance at winning the 1,500 square foot home or the $75,000 cash option.
And you can put it anywhere you want. You'll just have to provide the lot.
Exactly. When we give you the home, if you select the home, on top of the actual materials to build the home, we'll give you $25,000 in cash, and you can use that cash towards paying off any taxes related to the build or for buying a lot of land where you want to put the home.
Boy, that would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it, for somebody to have a chance to go ahead and build a house? Everybody likes to have a house from scratch, that they can walk right into. And what a way to remember it, to say, well, wow, I've won this house. And you say, what do you mean? Yeah, I was the one who won it. Well, I'd like to see the look on the person's face when they win that house. It's going to be something else. And the look on their face is going to be a lot different than the look on my face on Monday at Fire. Well, I made a deposit, if you know what I mean. So when that person wins the house, tell them that Michael Patrick Shields bought the kitchen sink for them or something like that.
No problem. We'll make sure they know.
I've got to tell you how friendly it was, though. You've got security guards in the front lobby there. And when I went to the cage, I had $6 in chips left. So I walked out because I wanted to have money to tip the valet. And I had a 5 and a 1. And I walked up to the security guys holding the 5 and the 1 in my hand, and I said, "Can I get security to take me to my car?" And the guy says, "Oh yes, sir, right away." I said, "I'm kidding. I got $6. I think I'm going to be perfectly fine." But there's free valet. You pull right up, no problem. And everyone has a good sense of humor there at Firekeepers. So good luck, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Thursday the 31st, the last day of March, you could win a house at Firekeepers Casino, and Jeff LaFrance will be there to help you plan it all out. So congratulations, very creative promotion, and we'll wait to see what's next after that. All the best to you and everyone at Firekeepers.
Thank you for having us on, MPS.
Get your Vegas on, and remember, if you win the house, every time you go to the kitchen sink, MPS provided that kitchen sink for you at Firekeepers. It's 3 minutes before the hour. Terry Lynn Land, is she going to run for U.S. Senate? She may tell us when we get back. Stay tuned. It's Michael Patrick Shields in the American Metal Roof Studio. Let's hope one of those amazing things is a victory tonight in the Mega Millions jackpot, because there are 312 million big ones at stake. Gary Austin, the anchor man. Oh. Of course, the cash buyout is a little less than that. You only get 193, and after taxes, you get, I don't know, 130, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
So what are we going to do? I mean, we'll have to figure out how to spend that. Now,
a lot of money.
You have lots of news for us this morning.
Boy, I do. Where do we start here?
Start with the sponsor, if you would, please.
I will. That's very appropriate, I would say. You'll never have to worry about the weather with a beautiful, guaranteed American Metal Roof. Learn more about AmericanMetalRoofs.com, AmericanMetalRoofs.com. That's the website you can check them out at. And what do you make of this, Michael Patrick? Governor Granholm, we knew when she left office she was going to have many obvious opportunities at a wide range of things. Her background in government, she's a lawyer for years, attorney business, and in state politics, add it all up, and she's got quite the resume. And this is catching quite a bit by surprise. Dow Chemical is telling us now that Governor Granholm has accepted a position with Dow as a member of their board of directors. Mm-hmm. How about that? Dow says her experience as governor and lawyer will make her very well suited for that job. Yeah, so she's on the board at Dow. She's with Pew Research now, and also with NBC on Meet the Press. So 3 good gigs, I'd say. I'll say. Now, what's going to happen with her teaching thing? That's right. In California. I forgot about that, too. That's 4 gigs. She's going to be busy. I wonder if she's going to have to talk about Talk about multitasking.
Yeah, that's pretty
Well,
good.
she was good at that when she was governor, and she's got to be very good at that, handling, what is that, like 3-4 different jobs all at once?
4 different jobs, plus the job of being a mother. Don't forget that. That's 5 jobs right there.
That's true. Add that to the mix. I'll tell you, when it comes to jobs, the situation with the U.S. Postal Service is going from bad to worse.
Is it?
And, yeah, this is really something. We knew the post office was in dire straits, and we know why, because, I mean, who mails a letter anymore? Not often when you had a chance to email, right? I mean, the computer technology and all that has really taken over. In any event, we have the Postal Service now offering $20,000 buyout packages to thousands of employees in exchange for their resignation. This as the post office moves ahead with plans to cut thousands of positions sometime in the near future. The buyout offers are designed to lure postal workers out of the workforce ahead of these cuts. That's the idea here. As we remember, the post office announcing earlier this year the agency would be cutting 7,500 administrative jobs, but the agency is yet to announce where and when those cuts will take place. It sounds to me like, Michael Patrick, this is sort of a risk for those who stick around, and for those in the auto industry, the same sort of thing. What do? Do you play the odds, and do you hope your job will be there once these round of cuts take place? Or do you avoid that possible risk and say, okay, I better just, you know, a bird in the hand's worth 2 in the bush. I better just take the $20,000 as a buyout and then be done with it.
It still seems to me that eliminating Saturday delivery would be the smartest thing to do, and I know that would cost jobs and all the rest. It's not as simple as it sounds, but who needs to get their mail really on Saturdays?
Well, you know,
I bet you a lot of people, they don't even look until Monday morning or Monday afternoon.
This is still an option being discussed, and I would think that is a good money-saving plan. Whether or not just eliminating that one day of delivery will be enough to solve the post office's financial problems, I mean, who knows? But certainly it seems like that and a combination of job cuts will likely be the course the post office will follow in any event. But we'll see before long how that shakes out. Right. You know, I would think, you know, those with the state police, when they first heard, say you're a state police trooper and you hear this news, 21 posts are closing in a cost-cutting move. Let's say in this story that's the first thing you hear. If I were a state police trooper, I'd be thinking, holy smokes, is the post where I'm at, am I going to lose my job?
Yep.
Well, that's not going to happen. We have Colonel Christy Kibiachu, who's state police director. She says this is all about reorganizing. No jobs will be lost. It's kind of a unique thing here. We're going to have some of these troopers are going to be working, you know, combining with posts that will be kept open, and some will be working actually out of their homes. And Achu puts it this way. This is designed so her department can be more responsive to emerging crime trends and less constrained by traditional geographic boundaries.
She was with us earlier, and she said, you know, that it's the modern age. They've always had in certain rural areas where the troopers could stay home and work from home and that kind of thing. And so it was very good news to hear from her personally earlier this morning. It's always nice when the director of the state police is accessible to us, and she certainly is the first female director, in fact, of the Michigan State Police. And on the other end of our line right now, the former Secretary of State, Terry Lynn Land. Gary Austin is with us on this Friday morning. Good morning. Nice to hear your voice again.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
Good. I wondered what you thought yesterday when you saw this public policy poll that shows that you would be 10 points behind, as I understand it, Debbie Stabenow in the race for the U.S. Senate. Are you encouraged by that?
Well, actually, it was kind of interesting because I also got a call from some other folks who've done another poll. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, you know, polls you can't think about. I mean, the reality is that every day one's up and one's down, and what I find more interesting is that everybody keeps doing polls. Yeah. So obviously there's some interest in this U.S. Senate race, and there's interest in finding a candidate who represents Michigan. So I think that's what's the more interesting object about all of this.
How close are you to deciding whether you'll run, if at all?
Well, the challenge is that we've got a few folks that are looking at it, and in fact, I've talked to a few of them, as you and I have talked about before, and I think they're all looking at it, and we just want to make sure we have a good candidate that represents Michigan, looks at, you know, what the future here is, and we have a lot of challenges, and we want somebody that will represent us. So I think, you know, the challenge is to do it by Mackinac. We have that Republican conference in the fall, and I think the person that does this has to make that decision by then.
Now, let me ask you something interesting. Sorry, Gary. Just yesterday, we talked to former Congressman Pete Hoekstra, who also polls, he's about 16 points behind, something like that in the poll I'm looking at, but polls very well in the idea of a primary. In other words, if there were a Republican primary, he's got a big advantage in that. He said he's going to decide in the next 2 weeks whether he's going to run or not. And will that, I guess that would help you determine whether you're going to run or not too, huh?
Well, yeah, and I appreciate that with him. He had told me before he was going to decide last month, so I hope that's true this time, that he does make that decision in the next couple of weeks.
I see.
Then that does make a difference. There's no doubt. He ran a tough race for governor. He came in second, and, he was just out there doing that. It's been a long time since I've even run a TV ad. So the reality is that his name ID is better. But when you look at the polling, too, you've got to also win the general. And when you look at that, my numbers definitely are better with the independents and folks out there that I've worked with for the last 8 years. So it's something that he has to talk about and think about, and something we'll have to talk about when he makes a decision.
You would consider yourself, if Pete Hoekstra decides not to run, the clear front runner for this, don't you think?
Well, there's no doubt. I've having run statewide for the last 8 years. I definitely have a lot of folks out there that have been talking to me. My Facebook and Twitter has been a little busy, and I keep telling the folks that we'll make a decision soon. So I know there's interest in it, and we'll have to take a look at that with our supporters.
Do you think that in this age, people might be more comfortable replacing a woman with a woman?
I really don't think that matters.
No?
In the last election, it was interesting. We had some very, tough, challenged women that went out there and worked hard and then didn't win, and then some that did. So I don't think that's an issue anymore. I think it's more about how you're going to vote when you get down there. Are you going to be a conservative? Are you going to, make sure that we don't spend more money than we have, and make sure that folks are able to get jobs? I mean, that's really what it's about. It's about the issues. I think we've gotten past that.
Gary Austin, question for former Secretary Land?
Yes. Hi, Terry Land. U.S. Senator Stabenow, she's never had a serious challenge as long as she's been in Congress. Why do you think now so many Republicans are saying, you know what, we may consider running against her next time?
Well, I think because of the last election, people really wanted a change. If you were an incumbent, and to be honest, a Republican or Democrat, you had a challenge. People do not like the way things have been going. And now that there's more media out there between, radio shows and cable and TV and all of that, people are starting to see how the representatives are representing them in Washington, and they don't like it. And I think that's why there's definitely more interest this time. But everybody also has to understand and respect. Ms. Stabenow has been around for a long time. I've known her since she's been a county commissioner. She was a state rep, a congressperson. She knows how to campaign, and I respect that. And she will be a tough race to win. There's no doubt.
Okay, we'll see how the chips all fall in the coming weeks and months, and we appreciate the accessibility to you, and it's always good to hear your voice.
Sounds good. Have a great one.
Thank you very much. You can find her on Facebook if you like. Terry Lynn Land, the former Secretary of State. She's very active in that manner, and you can communicate with her through that way if you wish, or just stay tuned to this program. She's likely to turn up again sometime soon. Gary Austin, the anchorman. It's 17, make it 18 minutes after the hour right now. Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan. His news brought to you by...
This update is service of the AARP, a membership group leading positive change and delivering value to people age 50 and over through information, advocacy, and service. And one last story here, Michael Patrick. I don't know if you heard this or not, but students taking a heavy course load at Grand Valley State University, they're going to have to pay extra. The Board of Trustees okaying charging an extra fee for students who carry a 16th credit hour each semester as the school, Grand Valley State U, in the Grand Rapids area, tries to round up more money.
Why are we penalizing the ones that are working the hardest? I don't know. It's a new normal. 18 minutes after the hour, Michael Patrick Shields, world correspondent Nikki Hale in the wings, and on your television and radio in 4 minutes. World correspondent Nikki Hale is here with us in our American Metal Roof studio here in the heart of central Michigan, but heard all across the state. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
We never let the birthday of a beautiful woman pass without taking note. I'm going to roll some of these by you here. Aretha Franklin who lives here in Michigan, is a 69. We give her the nod. She's a diva and has the most beautiful voice you could ever imagine, doesn't she?
Yeah, I didn't think she was 69.
Yeah, 69 years old. Bonnie Bedelia, you know who that is?
I don't.
Did you see the movie Die Hard?
Yes.
She's the wife in Die Hard.
Oh, yes,
Holly
I do know.
Gennaro.
Yes,
if you
I do
remember.
know who that is.
She's 63 already. today.
Wow.
Marsha Cross is 49 from Desperate Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Ooh, let's see if I can guess how old she might be. Let's think.
She's not my type, but
no.
we'll put her on the list anyway.
40-something?
46.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. And then the winner of the day for me, 29-year-old race car driver,
Danica Patrick.
Danica Patrick is celebrating
Wow.
her birthday today. We have a call out to Chris Gall because he's with the Indianapolis Visitors and Convention Bureau, and he spends a lot of time with her working on promotions and that sort of thing, so we want to know what that's like. He's also a Butler grad, and Butler keeps advancing through the NCAA tournament, that little school in Indiana. So Chris Gall, we're on the lookout for. Now, I know that Wimbledon isn't until the fortnight at the end of June and the beginning of July
Right.
At the All England Lawn and Tennis Club. But Serena Williams, the tennis star, the American, is appearing in a commercial for Topspin 4. It's a video tennis game, and they've made a TV commercial for the game like you would expect. It's for Wii.
Yep.
Game platform. And the commercial apparently is not going to go on television because it's too saucy. It's only going to be on the internet. If you could change the channel, Amanda, on our TV so we can see what Fox 47 is about to show. We're gonna put it on TV though, so people can see Serena Williams in this sensational video. She's wearing a black bodysuit, thigh-high black boots in the video game.
Wow.
And her opponent, Vanderbilt is the woman's name, is wearing a black bodysuit and fishnet stockings.
So it's interesting to see if she'll show up with this outfit at Wimbledon.
Yeah, but I don't think you're allowed to do that at
No,
Wimbledon, are you? Because
no.
you have to wear all white.
Yes, they're very strict. And actually, there's been spots of color over the past years. If you've noticed, the ladies,
No.
some of them had some spots of color in their outfits, even at Wimbledon.
So they're allowed a little bit of color, but it
I
has to
don't
be mainly white.
know that they're allowed. I think they're pushing the rules a little bit.
Oh. Are we showing, are we going to show that on Fox 47, the Serena Williams? We're just trying to, if you're watching on Fox 47 in the Lansing area, you'll get to see this commercial. It doesn't air on regular television because it's a little too sensational, but we thought we'd share it with you this morning because we're all grown-ups, right? And we need a little something to get the weekend started. See, there you go. That's the, there's Serena Williams, the world's sexiest tennis player, it says. Now, if you could play tennis in fishnet stockings and that kind of outfit, I think you would distract. I think you'd get more viewers on television, first and foremost. And second of all, you'd have trouble distracting your opponent, especially if it were a man. Anyway, put a little sex appeal in Texas. Her Majesty may not like that very much. While we were in Ireland, we found out that President Barack Obama is going to visit Ireland in the spring, and Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth is going to make a visit to the Republic of Ireland. First time since, in well over 100 years that someone from the British monarchy is going to Ireland. And we were kind of laughing because somebody put up a sign above the pub in Dublin that said, Her Majesty nor any of her family are welcome here as long as there is occupation in Northern Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what kind of reception she's going to get then.
It was a big sign, and the police came and made them take it down because they're still sensitive.
Right, and I'm sure sensitivity, I mean, it happens if you think of any country. There's all kinds of past history issues that people hold on to for a very long time, but I guess they'll try and push that away a little bit and
Trying to hide
move
that.
forward, I suppose.
Well, we'll see. It'll be very
Yeah.
interesting. You know, you got to
One to
understand that
watch.
it's a small country.
Yeah.
What is it, 4 million people or something like that? Through
Well,
the whole
even in size, right, in space, if you compare
Yeah.
it to the United States.
It's like a state.
Yes.
So when somebody like the Queen Elizabeth decides to show up, it's going to cause a heck of a stir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be interesting
There
to
must
see.
be a reason behind it, though, on both
The
sides.
visit?
Yes,
Yeah.
on both sides. There must be some sort of agreement that they've thought, okay, this is time for us to move forward with this, and specifically wanting her to do it, and not waiting for.
The prince.
Right. Exactly.
Prince Harry's in high demand now, I understand, because his brother's getting married. Now he's the one all the girls are chasing.
Right. The one left, right?
Which one's a better catch?
It In my view,
Yeah.
if you're not looking to be the future queen, I'd say you go with Harry.
Really?
I mean, you get all the royal treatment, you get all the nice jobs, you get to do all the charity stuff, and you don't have to.
The responsibility.
Right.
And he's kind of a wilder guy anyway.
Yes.
Probably
They're
more
all
fun.
waiting for the bachelor party, aren't they, to see what happens there?
Oh my
The
gosh!
stories
Yeah.
that might come from that.
He's the Billy Carter of the British royalty. Speaking of royalty of another type, Elizabeth Taylor's funeral.
Yes.
They're going to dim the lights on Broadway tonight, I understand,
Mhm.
which is a big thing to do. And then she's going to be buried in California
Mhm.
near
Yep,
Marilyn Monroe.
It actually happened yesterday.
Oh, it did already?
Yep.
Quick one.
Yes, it was very quick. She was in the hospital for actually a month, so I
Mm.
think they had that coming, and it was a very quiet procession, and they had actually police there because they were concerned that a lot of people would show up, but it was a very quiet event, and the family said just as she would have liked it to have been, so very
Yeah,
nice.
I forgot how close she was with Michael Jackson.
And Elton John, and several.
Strange combination.
Mhm.
Now she's buried near him, I guess, is
Correct.
the thing.
Yes, yeah.
Speaking of the royal wedding, I keep waiting for you to tell me you got your invitation in the
Mm.
mail here to Lansing to go to London to the royal
Didn't.
wedding, and
I didn't.
still nothing.
No.
What about it? But a 10-year-old gets an invitation and you don't?
Yes, that was very, very nice. As you know, Prince William's been out in Christchurch looking at the devastation after the tsunami that hit there prior to the tsunami that hit Japan. And as he was going through, greeting people, doing all the events that he usually does, he met this little boy called Xander, and the little boy shook his hand and said, "I'm never going to wash my hands ever again." And the prince was so impressed by this little, boy that he said, "Okay, here's an invitation to my wedding." But the downside is his parents kind of said, it's expensive to fly to England, it'd be expensive to stay, even to find a place, and we have to rebuild our home. So whether somebody charitable will come out and see if they can get the family to go, I don't know. But very, very nice gesture from the prince, I think.
I hope so.
Mhm.
The Japanese food now being screened. I didn't realize Japan was a big exporter of food, but I guess it is.
Tuna, I think, is the main export.
Oh.
They are a worldwide provider. So England is currently screening any products coming from Japan, and I believe there's a slight ban coming from the U.S. We're closer in proximity in a way, if you think backwards, California that way. And so we've got several issues going on there. And then now they've got issues with the water in Japan as well. Again, it's going. They flip the switch on and off, on and off. It's contaminated. It's not. It's contaminated. It's not.
Yeah.
So I think at this point the population over there are just saying, okay, we're not touching it until they know
Scary.
for sure. Yeah, very scary.
We try to leave out the boring parts when it comes to politics around here, but some of the stuff is desperately dull. And even in England, in the parliamentary system, you've got a tough time being engaged.
Yes, the Chancellor was giving a 56-minute speech on the economy and what's going to happen and what his plan was. And the Secretary of Justice took a nap for 3 minutes. But the interesting thing about this isn't even the nap. It's the fact that the British public were expecting it and bet on it.
They said, I bet he's going to fall asleep.
Yep, so they went to Ladbrokes, which is a very famous betting, company in England, and 50 people got paid out 4-figure sums.
Because he fell asleep?
Because he fell asleep. They bet on him falling asleep, and he did, so.
Speaking of that this was an eye-opener for Amanda, the betting shops throughout Ireland, and she says, betting shop? So I'm going to start calling her Betty from now on. We bet on the Cheltenham races.
Did you? Yes.
It's like the Kentucky Derby, I guess.
It is. It's the fancy one.
It was really fancy.
Mhm.
4 days of it.
Yep.
And Amanda made a bet, her very first bet in a betting shop, and she
I
picked
did.
a horse off the board, and it was 8-1, and she
Based
bet
off color. I
10
just
euro.
liked the color.
Okay, good.
So she had 8-1, 10 euro, and these races last forever. It's not like the Kentucky Derby lasts 2 minutes. These races
4.5.
last like almost 5 minutes,
Mhm.
and her horse had the lead till the last
Fell.
gate because they steeplechase, right?
Yes.
It fell. It fell right at the end.
Oh, bless.
In the last
wasn't good.
stretch, the horse fell down.
But I got excited enough that I decided I was going to sneak away and go into another betting shop.
Uh-huh.
And
Boyles, I think it was, wasn't it?
there was, yes, it was Boyles. And I bet on a horse, and it was winning, but I was looking around because there was a lot of kids kind of around my age, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't betting on an English horse in
Kids
Ireland.
around her age.
So I was kind of waiting, and all of a sudden you hear, "Go Junior, go Junior!" So then I was screaming, "Go Junior, go Junior!" And
she won.
I won.
Oh,
so that was really exciting.
congratulations. Wouldn't you just love to have that around here? It would be addicting, wouldn't it?
Well, we do have it in Battle Creek, not too far from here. I like to go
Firekeepers.
visit at Firekeepers.
In the UK and Ireland, it's on every corner. It's like a convenience store.
It was amazing. They were
It is,
everywhere.
yeah,
you can bet
it is.
dogs, horses, whatever you want. Sports.
Soccer, yep.
Yeah, all of it.
Yep.
All right, it's a Firekeepers Casino Friday. You can get there very easily. It's less than an hour from Lansing, about an hour from Grand Rapids, very near Kalamazoo, Mount Pleasant, you name it. And thank you very much to the world correspondent, Nikki Hale. Your Facebook page is?
World correspondent Nikki Hale.
That's it. Simple as that. Find her online at 35 after the hour. It's Michael Patrick Shields live in the American Metal Roost studio. It is a Firekeepers Casino Friday, and we'll tell you the Tigers lost to the Nationals yesterday 5-2 at Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland, Florida. They're going to play on the road today against the Atlanta Braves. Pistons on the road to visit the Cavaliers in Cleveland tonight. Matthew Stafford, the Lions quarterback, apparently up and throwing. He had shoulder surgery in January, and, you know, in 2 NFL seasons, he's missed 19 games. But they say he feels good. But will there be a season is the real question. Mark Montgomery from Tom Izzo's staff has been named the new head coach at Northern Illinois University, so we wish him good luck. He spent some time at CMU on the coaching staff there, too. And there's going to be a new champion in men's college basketball because Arizona beat Duke 93-77 yesterday in that Sweet 16 matchup. Connecticut, Florida, and Butler will join Arizona now in the Elite Eight with Sweet 16 wins last night. The tournament continues with 4 more matchups tonight. North Carolina gets Marquette, and Ohio State takes on Kentucky. Kansas will play Richmond, and Florida State faces Virginia Commonwealth in the Southwest. Spencer Levin shot 6 under 66. He's got a 3-shot lead after the first round of the Arnold Palmer Invitational. That is at the Bay Hill Lodge and Club in Orlando, right down the street from Tiger Woods' house, right down the street from Disney World. It's where Arnold Palmer spends his winters. And 6-time winner Tiger Woods missed every fairway on the front 9, shot 1 over 73. If he can't do it at Bay Hill, will he be able to do it at the Masters? I don't think so. But Tiger was saying yesterday that the weather really affected his game.
Yeah, I didn't hit the ball well at all starting out. Didn't drive it well starting out. Then I got a hold of that. Hit my irons well all day. And on the greens, it was just tough to take the putter back straight. I mean, the wind was gusty. And it was tough to get the right speed.
Are you trying to say the wind affected your putting?
It's just hard to stay steady. It's one thing to have a wind blowing 20, 30 miles an hour. That's fine. But it was actually gusty. And, you know, we were talking pretty much all day about it. It's hard to actually get the putter going back straight and through because it's moving all over the place.
Yeah, well, that's what happens in Central Florida at this time of year. It's windy in the afternoon. But Ricky Fowler and Hunter Mahan are tied for second and third. They shot 69s. And Phil Mickelson is ahead of Tiger, too. So we'll see. Michelle Wie is a couple shots back at the Industry Hills Golf Club in Pacific Palms where the LPGA is playing, and Amanda Blumenhurst is the leader at 7 under par. What's on the silver screen this weekend? We turn to Ron Van Timmeren on this Firekeepers Casino Friday to give us an idea of what we can see. Good morning to you, Ron.
Morning, Michael Patrick.
What's cooking?
Well, 2 interesting choices this week. First, probably the #1 movie of the weekend is Diary of a Wimpy Kid 2, Roderick Rules, and a very successful first launch on the series of books and the movies. They're making more. 40 million of these books in circulation, so a lot of built-in audience for Wimpy Kid.
I should say so. That's sort of like the book begets the movie, and the movie begets another movie.
Exactly. And if enough people support the movie, there'll be another one and another one and another one, because Hollywood never fails to exploit a good idea.
What about for the adults?
Sucker Punch is here this week, an IMAX version of it as well, just in 2D, though, not a 3D. And critics are bashing this movie from Zack Snyder, the director of 300 and Watchmen. But I got a chance to see this, Michael Patrick, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before. Three hot actresses: Emily Browning, Abby Cornish, Vanessa Hudgens, Jenna Malone, also John Hamm and Scott Glenn in this. It's a graphic novel for the big screen. Just some crazy special effects and stunts, and outrageous storyline. Rated PG-13. It's a very interesting movie.
Sounds like it's even hard to describe then.
Well, I could try to describe the fantasy that's the fantasy from the reality, which is still fantasy to begin with. It's a very convoluted storyline. Just consider it eye candy and enjoy.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that advice. And what? So beyond the movies this weekend, what's still polling strong? What are people seeing?
Well, the three last week are all doing well. Limitless, The Lincoln Lawyer, and Paul, all in the top 5 from last week. I hear a lot of people saying great things about Limitless. Lincoln Lawyer's got its fans. Paul, that R-rated comedy, doing good business too. Rango's the #1 family film, holding over Battle Los Angeles, Red Riding Hood, The Adjustment Bureau, Myers Needs Moms, Beastly, and Hall Pass rounding out the top 10.
Plenty of choices for sure at Celebration Cinema. Thank you very much, Ron Van Timmeren.
See you at the movies.
See you at the movies indeed, and you can dream. $312 million at stake tonight in the Mega Millions jackpot lottery. It's at 11 o'clock. The United Arab Emirates is now the second Arab nation to join the international effort in Libya. We welcome them aboard. And a bunch of college students yesterday, I guess, were causing a ruckus in the gallery down the street here at the Capitol during the House session. They were denied entrance to the House by the sergeants out of concern they would erupt into loud, disruptive behavior. And that move didn't escape the attention of Democratic lawmakers who issued a press release slamming the Republicans for keeping the students out and denying them free speech. Representative Shaniel Jackson of Detroit said these students came to Lansing to be part of the democratic process, and it's disheartening they were turned away. They were refused the right to enter the House chamber gallery, and that sends a clear message that the House Republicans are content to weaken the voice of the people. That's what she says. Anyway, it is 14 minutes now before the hour. They're going to try to redo Arnie's Restaurant in downtown Grand Rapids on Leonard Street. It's a landmark restaurant, and there's going to be work to replace it very soon. The Planning Commission approved plans for a rebuilt Arnie's. It'll be inside the office building that survived a 2009 fire that destroyed the restaurant. They hope to open in the fall. Good news for downtown Grand Rapids. At 14 before the hour, it's Michael Patrick Shields.
Good morning, babe.
Larry Olmsted, who writes for various in-flight publications and magazines all over the world, and the author of Getting Into Guinness, and an avowed skier, is on the other end of our line this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
How many trips? You skied all over the West this winter, didn't you? It seemed like every time I talked to you, you were on top of a mountain.
Yeah, I got out there a fair amount. It was a good season, a lot of snow.
You're the kind of guy who can get in a helicopter. I mean, you're a really good skier, and get out and jump out of the helicopter and ski right down some of that amazing terrain. That's got to take a certain, well, you know what I mean, a certain sort of fortitude.
You have to commit to it.
I would say so. But we're making a transition now from places like Vail and Beaver Creek and Telluride and all the other places you went to, Deer Valley and the rest. And now you're making the transition to golf, and you're going to be going to Mississippi, as I understand.
I am. I'm going down to the Biloxi Gulfport area, which has a lot of casino resorts and golf courses, and it's good value, good weather. But one of those places that's not on everybody's radar.
It's going to be a Champions Tour event, which I guess is the senior tour. And do you know who you're playing with yet in the Pro-Am?
I don't. But I've heard that I've played in a number of PGA Tour Pro-Ams, but never a Champions. And I've heard that the older guys are more fun, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that would be really fun if you got paired with Tom Watson if he happened to be playing in that event. Because I know the last time you two got together, he had some cross words for you, huh?
He did. He's not a very warm person, we'll say.
What did he tell you? You played one hole at it was down near Kiowa Island when he opened up that golf course there, and it was kind of the pro gets to play with the amateurs, and he had some advice for you when the hole was over?
He said, it's a good thing you can write.
Now, that's not very nice at all, is it?
No.
Well, I hope that would be really funny to have the reunion. I'm gonna root for that to happen. And Tiger Woods is playing at Bay Hill, and he was complaining yesterday about the wind. He didn't have that great of a first round. He's won there 6 times and lives right down the street. To me, if he can't get it done at Bay Hill, there's no hope for the Masters. Do you agree?
You know, I'm always expecting Tiger to turn it around any given week and start playing the way that we know he can. You know, maybe that's just blind optimism, but I did not hear his complaints. You know, the old Tiger would not have complained about the wind. He would have complained about himself.
Well, that's the thing. You know, you got Ricky Fowler in front of him and Spencer Levin and some of the other. Even Phil Mickelson was in front of him there, and I'm like, you know, you don't usually hear him complain about things like that. So I just wonder, because people keep asking me, do you think he's going to win a major this year? I don't know about that. In more serious matters, we heard all about the earthquake in Tokyo and the ramifications. And you were once in an earthquake in Japan?
I was in Tokyo. I was staying in the Park Hyatt, which is that hotel where the movie Lost in Translation's filmed, where Bill Murray swims all the time.
Right.
Which at the time was one of the highest. Well, it's still one of the highest hotels in the world, but it was the highest hotel in Tokyo. I think they built a higher one, but. And, you know, I was in the business center, and suddenly, you know, the keyboard started, bouncing around the table. I was working at the computer. I was like, what's going on? And I looked, and everything was shaking and moving. But then it calmed down. They said it's very normal. And the one thing that is true is that the buildings in Tokyo are built to probably the highest standards in the world for earthquakes. You know, and there was no damage in Tokyo from this earthquake. The problem is all from this. Well, I mean, the problem elsewhere in Japan is the tsunami, but the real problem is the radiation.
Yeah, as busy as Tokyo is, having been there, I mean, you really feel like you're in the middle of, you know, a sea of buildings and bustling busyness, and an earthquake there would be unimaginable.
13 million people. But they said, and I read last night that this is expected to be the costliest natural disaster in human history, over $300 billion. And that's, you know, before the radiation starts, you know, wreaking more havoc.
You are the guy that wrote Getting Into Guinness, and one of the stories in that book about how to get into the Guinness Book of Records was that you broke the record for the longest poker playing session in history. Today is a Firekeepers Casino Friday on this show, and you're going to go back to the scene of the crime and play in a tournament?
I am. I don't believe I've played poker at Foxwoods, which is a casino in Connecticut. Since I set the record, I've been back to the casino, but more just to party and shoot some craps. Today I'm playing in the New England Championships of Poker 7-card stud championship event.
And Foxwoods is the world's largest casino?
It is. It's the largest and most profitable casino in the world, and it started as just a bingo parlor. And it's amazing because if you walk around it and you're not drunk and you take a look, you can see the waves of expansion where they've just tacked building onto building onto building. It's basically laid out like a shopping mall, but it's all one casino and hotel.
Larry got on Good Morning America and had national attention for playing for 72 consecutive hours of poker at the table there. And he's always, if you read about it in the book, he was in a bit of a daze at the end, but ended up making money through all that session, which is the most amazing part. Getting Into Guinness is the name of the book. And just watch Cigar Aficionado. Anytime you get on an airline, look in the magazine, you're likely to see the byline of Larry Olmsted. Good luck in the tournament and in the golf tournament, too. Say hi to Tom Watson.
Hi.
Television viewers, we'll see you Monday morning. Radio listeners, stay right where you are. There's another hour of this all across the state of Michigan with Michael Patrick Shields.
All the muchachas, they call me Big Papa. When I throw pesos